So hey guys, I just thought I'd take a minute to show you a little piece of cinema history in a way. This is called a gearhead, and I know that in your tech package you guys get a little fluid head, a Manfrotto perhaps, or a Giotto's or Gitzo or something. But this is a little different than a fluid tension head. This is a throwback to the old days in Hollywood, right after we went to sync sound coverage of movies and television. Well, not television, this is going way back, but the sync sound cameras for motion pictures were big sound blimp apparatus that were really kind of clunky, and they were heavy and really unwieldy, and even a tripod like this might have been a little underrated for cameras of that size. But what they had to move such a behemoth of a camera around was a gear head, and the idea was incrementally as you turn the handle you could pan and you could tilt a relatively heavy piece of equipment and get a nice precise precision move out of your camera. Now you can do that now with a fluid head, and most of the video cameras that we use are a lot smaller and lighter. But the gear head was devised to handle those larger sound cameras in the beginning of our sound capture generation. And all we really did was take a good idea and carry it forward by scaling down the gear head and making it more functional on the newer generations of cameras, both film and video, that have come out in the years and decades since the advent of location sound. So what you have is you've got a drive wheel that controls your pan, and you can go in either direction. And you can also change to a high gear or a neutral gear for crane work, where you basically defeat the pan and tilt function of the head. And you can go to a slow gear where it takes about twice as many cranks to get from extreme right to extreme left of frame. And then you have another gear handle back here that will control your tilt up and down, and the same principles apply. You've got a clutch over here that'll allow you to go to a high gear or a low gear when you are tilting up and down. So this is something that you might use on a larger feature where you have plenty of camera assistance to help. As you notice, my tripod is quite a bit larger than I would be using if I had a fluid head. This is called a Romford standard, and basically this is just an aluminum set of legs, but it has a larger flat receiver for the gear head called a Mitchell plate. And the Mitchell plate is some technology that is common to motion picture dollies, certain kinds of cranes, and certain kinds of camera support at the upper end of the budgetary scale. So you'll need a set of Mitchell legs to accommodate this properly, although this does have a 100mm ball adapter that you can put on and put it on a set of 100mm legs. The problem is the head itself is about 20-25 pounds, so that much weight on your standards, and then your camera on top of that, makes 100mm configuration a little bit top heavy. So the Romford legs really are ideal for a gear head. But what's nice about a gear head, and something that you really can't do with a fluid head, no matter how skilled you are at operating a fluid head, is this will repeat an identical move. If you have to do the same piece of coverage multiple times, and it's tight confined framing, for instance, and you know that the actor will move camera right, and you'll have to pan camera right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 turns. You can do that every time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, back to 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 2, back to 1, and take 3. And you can repeat that move identically 3 times. And the same with your pan and tilt. All of that can be done just by counting the number of turns that you needed to get to the position that you were going for. And It just takes a little bit of hand-eye coordination to know where you have to turn the camera in order to get it to a point where you want it to go. But once you get that coordination down, it's really pretty easy to master the gear head, and you'd be working on a piece of technology that has a deep and steep tradition in Hollywood. This particular head is called the Orion, built by Proaim, and it is a copy of the Gearnex gear head produced in California by the Gearnex Corporation. It has hand drag locks here and tilt locks here, so you can totally lock off the camera once you've gotten to the point that you want it to be at. And it also comes with a nice tilt arrangement here, so if you have to get an extreme down angle, you can do so, and you can lock the camera in that position, and you can actually operate from the tilt wedge position to get a really steep angle on the gear head. So you're really not limited to the kinds of moves that you can do. Anything that you can do on a fluid head, you can do on a gear head. It's just a little bit different arrangement of controls, and it's a good idea if you're going to use a gear head to definitely go into the field with a camera assistant. This isn't the kind of piece of gear that you want to try and manage by yourself on a quick run and gun type of shoot. This is really for traditional filmmaking, feature film production, where you have one or two camera assistants. They can help you move the tripod. They can help you get built in the morning and ready for the first shot. But it's a nice way to work. It requires a certain kind of tempo on the set. This isn't fast work, but it's very deliberate work, it's very precise work, and it's controlled. So if you're doing some really high value work and a lot of long lens coverage, this is a really handy tool to have around. And it just takes a little bit of practice to master. So that's the gear head. I hope you enjoyed having a look at that piece of equipment. Hopefully we'll get some more gear in here very soon for you to take a look at, but I thought you might like to learn today about the Orion gear head. So thanks for tuning in. I'll see you soon.